Hi, I'm Jack Soul, and welcome to the third video of this 3-video series all about pedal boards. The first video in this series was about my studio pedal board, and it was a walkthrough of all the effects. My second video was the same, but about my gigging pedal board. And this is the third video. It's a how-to video to build pedal boards. I'm going to tell you all the mistakes that I've made so that you don't have to make them. And it's a ton of fun. It's one of my favorite things to do. So let's get into the third video. Alright, so this is the first section, and this section is all about power supplies. So arguably, the most important part of your pedal board is your power supply, how you're powering your pedals, because without your power supply, your pedals aren't going to make any sound. So you have to figure out what power requirements your pedals have and what you need to meet. So the first option actually is what I would call a daisy chain, and essentially what it is one cord that plugs into your wall. This little part on the end plugs into a cord that looks like this, plugs in right here, and there's 4 outputs on this cord. And essentially what this does is it just powers 4 pedals, one right into the next. The power overflows right into the next one. And if you're not using one, make sure you put a little cover on it so that it doesn't make any unwanted noise. But the power supplies that I'm mainly going to be talking about, because I keep that around to power little, if I'm plugging some stuff up on my desk, I can use that. That's a great option. But I don't want to power too many with that because it's just going to introduce unwanted noise. What I want is an isolated power supply. So on my gig board, I have the One Spot CS12, which is one of my favorite power supplies. And on my studio board, I have the Chalks DC7, which again is one of my favorite power supplies. I tried the CS12 on my studio board by One Spot, and it just didn't quite have enough power to make the whole studio board work, because it had so many digital pedals which take a lot of milliamps, which is what the pedals draw. And so I had to move. I actually tried the Strymon Zuma next, and the way the Strymon Zuma powers up, it wouldn't power up my Maris Mercury X or LVX properly, at which that means it didn't work for my situation. And that's something that you can learn. If you're going to power certain pedals, make sure the Zuma works with it. And so I actually took the Zuma back, although I really thought it was a slick power supply, and I ordered the Chalks DC7, which is the one. I think if I had to go with a power supply, that's the one. The Chalks actually tells you, or it indicates how much power out of the total amount that the Chalks, total amount of milliamps that the Chalks power supply offers. It tells you how many you're using, which is super helpful. So studio board ended up with the Chalks DC7. It's a great power supply. Now, something that I wish that I would have bought sooner is this milliamp current meter. So all of your pedals are going to draw a certain amount of milliamps, and this tells you exactly how many. Sometimes the manufacturer will say how many, but oftentimes it's a lot higher than the actual draw, and this allows you to be really precise, and it allows you to plug this into your power supply, and then you plug this into the pedal, and then it tells you exactly how many milliamps the pedal needs so that you can make your calculations properly. This is for polarity switching. So pedals like my Eventide H9 Max needed the opposite that most pedals want, and this cord changes it into what the H9 needs. So you got to check out specifically what your pedals need to make sure you can power them properly. But a little summary, the one spot, CS12, didn't have enough milliamps to power my studio board. The Zuma did have enough milliamps, but the way it powered up the pedals didn't work for my Maris pedals. And the Chalks DC7 killed it on all regards, and I still have lots of milliamps to go on that one. I couldn't be happier. With that being said, let's move to the next section. Okay, so this is going to be a little sidebar in between my notes on pedal boards. I'm going to talk about my old pedal boards. So I'm going to put a picture up right now, and this pedal board is 10 years old. So it was in 2014 that this was put together, and this was probably a year or two into purchasing pedals. And of course I had the Zoom multi-stop, as you can see beside the Dunlop volume pedal, and I still have that on my gig board today. And my relationship with that Zoom pedal, interestingly, has changed a lot over the years. I started out loving it. I started out using it and really learning what effects were because of it. But then, of course, they're not always super trendy, so it found its way off my board for years. But I always found the versatility and the quality of the effects stood way above where the stature was of that pedal in the pedal community. So as you can see, I have it back on my board now, but that's just a side note. So the first thing I hope you're noticing about this pedal board, and I gigged with this pedal board in my first year of college, it doesn't have Velcro, okay? I didn't have anybody teaching me how to put together pedal boards. I didn't have anybody mentoring me in that perspective, and I saw Velcro before on pedal boards, but I was nervous to like stick Velcro on these pedals that I had paid so much money for, and even putting them on the board, and you know what's the logistics and stuff. So I put that pedal board in a pillowcase and carried it upright like a platter into wherever I was playing every time, you know, carrying it back out, setting it in my trunk like a platter. And I laugh every time I think about it. But other than that, you can see that I had the Zoom regular MS50G, and then I had the Zoom CDR, which is chorus delay reverb. Guys, these pedals are really awesome, and I love them. They're super fun to play around with. And of course, the flashback delay and the DD20 were huge. So I used the Zoom CDR for reverb, and I got a couple of delay pedals there. And of course, the other pedal that is still on my board today, the Full Tone OCD. I really like this pedal, and I'm going to share more about it in the future for sure, just because it's been with me for so long. Again, this is 10 years ago, but the OCD was one of the first pedals I bought, so wild. Anyway, so it goes Dunlop to the Zoom to the OCD to the wah to the CDR to the DD20 to the flashback, and the DD20 has the tap tempo there, the FS5U. So that's pretty interesting. That's my pedal board 10 years ago, and there'll be an update later on in the video as well. Just yeah, I won't give it away. Okay, see you in a bit. All right, section 2, all about the actual pedal board. So my studio pedal board is a Pedal Train Junior Max, and I really like this shape. And my gig board is a Donner DB3. Now, this is pretty similar to a Pedal Train Junior Max. A Pedal Train Junior in size, and I really like it too. I went with it because it was so much cheaper. The gig bag is actually really nice, and I really do enjoy it. The downfall is after the CS12 didn't work on my studio board, I decided to move it over to my gig board. And what I had to do is build custom brackets to mount it on the bottom, and I'll show some pictures of what that looks like. And that works really well, and I'm really happy with it. It was a little challenging to get right, but I'm really happy with the way that that turned out. So my studio board is a Junior Max pedal train, and my gig board is a Donner DB3. And actually, for the price, again, I think you can get them like $60 used. They're a really well built. The gig bag is awesome, and if you can find one for cheap, I would definitely recommend that. Now, with the slanted board, they are my favorite because I use the board a lot on my desk, as you've seen on this channel, and it tilts it just enough towards you where it seems to make a little bit more ergonomic sense. The cable management is a little bit, I use the out of sight, out of mind. So if you look under it, it's not a masterpiece, but from on top, it looks really organized. And I like that about it because I don't use custom cabling, which we'll get into in the next section on why, but I think that's a really important part of my mindset. And again, with the cabling being tucked underneath, it's at an ergonomic, and when you use flat boards or even temple boards, which again, I'm not against, they're just not my favorite, because flat boards, you have to almost use custom cabling, again, which we'll get into in the next section, for it to look really well organized. But with the slanted board, again, you can get away with a little bit more, and I like that because I'm always moving stuff around. Now, with Velcro, we've got the fuzzy side, which kind of an unwritten rule. This goes down on the pedal board, and then you have the more prickly side, which goes down on your pedal. The reason why I don't personally use anything stronger than just normal Velcro that comes with the pedal train, like dual lock, is because I like moving stuff around, and dual lock is an absolute headache when it comes to that. Now, if you had a board that you knew you weren't going to move anything around and you were going to go on tour, sure, grab your dual lock and stick that down so that it will never move. But for me, and especially with YouTube, I'm constantly changing stuff around and enjoying different combinations, and I like that flexibility. So pick whatever works best for you, but I think that that works really well for me. Now, same topic is I use these little Velcro strips. So it's just a tinier piece of Velcro. And what I do is I wrap my cables underneath my pedal board with these tiny little pieces of Velcro. And I think that, so what I used to use is zip ties, and zip ties work phenomenal, except if I have to troubleshoot, I have to cut them off. Or if I want to move a pedal around and it's being stuck together because of the zip tie, I got to cut it off and use a new one. Where else these just unpeel and wrap the cord back up, and they work phenomenal. I really like using them. So that's a little tip for you. And without further ado, let's get to the next section. Okay, we're getting to the home stretch. The next section, to me, has always been a super easy one. So here's 3 types of Ernie ball cable. So I'll just organize them so you can see the back here on the top down camera. So here's 3 types of Ernie ball cable, and here's the 1-by-1 comparison. So these ones here, I think personally these ones are terrible to deal with, and I think that they are really difficult. They're not bendy, and the connection point is huge. The Pancake kind of solved that connection point, but the cord is still really hard to deal with. So I wouldn't recommend these either. I would recommend these cords by Ernie Ball. They're called ribbon cables. They're super slick. They're super low profile. and they're awesome, and they're soldered, okay? So the reason why I don't go with custom cables is because I would constantly be chopping them down to certain sizes until I have nothing left. When I just buy pre-made ones at a bunch of different sizes, which allows me, specifically the ribbon ones, which allows me the flexibility to tear my pedals off, put them in a new order, and just Velcro what's left under the pedal with the little Velcro rounds that I showed you. So this one's super easy. Ultimately, use cables that work for you, but I recommend these ribbon cables by Ernie Ball. They're awesome. They're just a joy to deal with, and the cord is even super thin, and that makes a big difference as well when you're routing. So have fun with it. But I recommend these Ernie Ball ribbon cables. Okay, as promised, another interruption. This pedal board that you are seeing is a year or so later. A guy at the college that I went to finally saw my pedal board, and he was a little bit further in the pedal journey than I was, and he saw that there was no Velcro on my pedal board, and he took me under his wing, made me buy some Velcro, showed me how to put it on, showed me that it's a normal thing guitarists do. So as you can see, it's the same wooden board but with Velcro. I'm really thankful that I finally got Velcro and I didn't have to carry it around like a serving platter. Pedals that are the same: OCD, volume, wah, flashback, DD20, and Zoom CDR. This is an interesting part, is I started out, I feel like, with some pretty good choices, and I'm proud of myself for that. And then I dove a little bit more into the cheaper side with getting that iStomp. Horrible choice. I'm not really commenting on the quality of effects, but it fully relied on a certain adapter on iPhones, and as you know, those go out of style every few months. So that was really difficult to deal with. I got rid of it shortly after. It was so hard to deal with, and the effects weren't great. And then the red one, the red nano pedal, is called the Dead Man's Hand, I believe. It's been quite some time since I've had it, but it actually sounded okay. But again, it was a cheaper nano pedal, and the white one that's kind of blown out in the picture, the nano pedal, is the Spark, and it's a pretty good boost pedal. But again, I feel like I started out strong, but then my buddy got me Velcro, went even stronger, and then I bought a few cheaper pedals. But again, experimenting is great. And the layout here is really fun. It's kind of wild, and I'm super nostalgic going through these old photos. So maybe we'll do some more in the future. Not on this video. This is the last pedalboard update for this video, but have fun with the last section. All right, this last segment is segment number 4, and it's all about planning. So before I build a new board, I always think about the things that we've already talked about. Power supply. I build a power list. I list all the requirements. I use the milliamp meter that I showed you to get the exact requirements from each pedal that I want to use on the board. And then after I know my power supply can handle it, then I move on to layout. So I go on to Pedal Playground. It's a website that's super cool. You can lay out your pedal boards, and I've been using it for years to make sure that practically what's in my brain actually does work with the board that I'm using. And then, of course, I'm thinking about routing, seeing if I have any long expanses that I need a 1/4-inch patch cable for on the pedal board, and planning around that and making sure that that's taken care of. And when I am thinking about going from my pedal my pedal chain and making sure that I have all the patch cables that I need for that. You can even at this stage be thinking about MIDI and whether that's something you're interested in or you want to implement. But what I want to maximize, the one thing that I want to say in this section is allow yourself a chance to grow. So when you're thinking about what you want, allow yourself increments, like goals. Like, don't think you have to go from 0 to 100, because you'll just be chasing it and it'll kind of be a miserable process. But allow yourself in your brain chances to hit goals. Like, I want to have overdrive, delay, and reverb. Like, that's a great goal, and you can hit that and you can have so much fun choosing those. But if you want to go from having nothing to 12 pedals, it's going to be really difficult. And I would say allow yourself room on your board to grow, whatever board you choose, but don't go too huge right away, because if you buy a massive pedal board, it's never going to feel complete or full until you have like 20 pedals on it. Where else, one of my favorite board sizes is the Pedal Train Junior. It seems to fit just the right amount of stuff. You could fit everything you need to go on tours with. It's a great size and it's a great starter board. And my Donner is a very similar size, so I even enjoy it still today. So allow yourself room to grow, but don't go too big, too crazy. If you need to go big later, you can just buy another board. But you want to buy a board that will make sense for you at the time and that will look clean and tidy at the moment, rather than trying to strive for something, that's going to be a couple years or maybe even more down the road for you. So that was section 4, and with that, it concludes this video series. It's been so exciting. Like I said, this is one of my favorite things, one of my favorite hobbies that I've been doing over the past 12 or so years. And when I say that I'm incredibly thankful for everyone who's stopped by and watched this video, that's an understatement. This has been a huge dream of mine, a huge goal to start a YouTube channel, and I've been met with so much really incredible feedback and encouragement, and I just really want to thank you so much if you've subscribed to give me the chance. I'm not going to let you down. I have some great ideas coming up for this year, and I want to say, if you haven't subscribed and you've enjoyed a couple of videos on this channel, or maybe you want to check back on some stuff that's coming in the future, I would really appreciate it if you would just hit that subscribe button. I'm again so excited for some of the ideas that I have, and I can't wait to see how they turn out. And again, thank you so much, and we'll hopefully see you in the next one.